Today we're going to talk about making money with self-storage profit centers. Before we dive into stuff, just a reminder that if you guys have any questions or comments or want to talk to me a little bit more than time allows, go over to Andros A, which is just down the hall here. I'll be there for 30 minutes in a roundtable format. You guys can speak with me freely and ask any questions or have any discussions you want there afterwards. A little bit about me. I come from Clemson, South Carolina. That's where I grew up. We are now the home of the 3-time college football national champions. I like to say that because we're out west. Not many folks know who Clemson is still. I also like the outdoors. In Clemson, there are mountains. Or in South Carolina, there are mountains. A lot of people out west and in other parts of the country only see South Carolina for its beaches in Charleston, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach. We have mountains. I live on the mountainside of South Carolina. So imagine this. You're at a post office, your local post office. You're probably sending out some certified letters for your next auction, and there's a line. There's always a line at the post office. And as you're waiting in line, you kind of glance around to see a stand of Hallmark cards. It's almost Easter time, so let's say it's a rack of Easter cards and some birthday cards. You take a look around to the other side of you, and there's a rack of gift cards. Anything from Outback to Starbucks to iTunes. There's a gift card for almost anything you can think of. Then you start asking, because you're still in line, why does the post office sell gift cards and Hallmark greeting cards? Well, at some point during the way, the United States Postal Service decided to consider those two items profit centers. So in the storage industry, after months of research and from my own experience, I've come up with a basic definition of what a profit center is. A profit center is any product or service that a self-storage facility offers in addition to your normal storage rentals that generates revenue. And I'll add on to that it not only generates revenue, but it benefits you and the customer. There are 3 common profit centers that I've found in my experience in talking with many managers over my 6 years in the industry. These 3 are retail merchandise sales, truck rentals, and boat and RV storage. These seem to be the 3 common that it's almost, if you're going to do profit centers, you better start with these 3. With retail merchandise sales, this is perfect if you have an on-site office. Merchandise sales don't really work if you are operating facilities that do not have managers and an office on site. Merchandise sales beefs up your office look and the interior decorating of your office. If you're going to start with retail and merchandise sales, you need to start with locks and boxes. Those are the most common pieces of merchandise that are sold in self-storage facilities. Locks, everybody needs a lock when they move into one of your units. It is profitable and easy for the customer to go ahead and buy a lock as they're signing that lease, instead of them having to run to Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, or a competitor that offers lock sales. And who doesn't think that people need more boxes when they are in the process of moving and packing up things to put in the storage unit they are leasing? Everybody needs more boxes. I have witnessed and seen over my years that if you have boxes out right next to where they are signing the lease, more often than not, they will buy an extra 3 to 4 boxes. So if you want to get fancy and go beyond the locks and boxes, you can add moving supplies and packing supplies. most, if not all, of the storage vendors and suppliers that offer retail merchandise items have these in their inventory. These can include rope, mattress covers, blankets, tape, stretch wrap, bubble wrap. If you want to expand your inventory, you can kind of mix and match with these, see what customers like to have, what they don't need, what they need. If you end up doing truck rentals or boat and RV storage, rope is a great thing because people need to tie down their items in the moving trucks and need some extra polypropylene rope for tie downs on their boats. A second common profit center are truck rentals. You can do truck rentals in two different types of ways. You can become a dealer of one of the many national U-Haul or truck rental companies like U-Haul, Penske, Budget, Ryder, and there's several others. Or you can purchase or lease a moving truck for yourself, so you can add your own logo, your own contact information, so that truck becomes a movable, mobile billboard. There are advantages for both of these. If you become a truck dealer for one of these companies, you do not have to maintain the truck. You don't have to spend the money to maintain it. All you have to do is let that company know when the truck needs an oil change, and they come out and service the truck. If you have your own truck or you lease a truck with your own information on it, not only does it become a mobile billboard, but then you can start offering services such as free truck with move-in. I've had experience with both of these, and I see the advantages and disadvantages. It is great to have your own truck. If you can afford it, whether or not it's a used truck or one that you lease, there are some vendors here at this expo this year that do that stuff for you. As well as truck rentals are just great because I've personally dealt with U-Haul personally, and it's great when somebody is moving cross country, and they can easily drop off their U-Haul truck at the same place they're going to end up renting a storage unit. The third common profit center is boat, RV, and vehicle storage. This is a great add-on profit center if you have the space, if you have extra space, extra acreage at your property, and you're looking to add some capital so you can expand and build more units. This is a great way to add add a profit center to help generate the revenue needed for the capital to expand. All you really need is a gravel or grass lot. So any type of flat space that you have at your facility that is not being used, you can turn it into an easy, profitable, extra service for folks. If you want to get fancy and you can tell your clientele is a little bit on the wealthier side, you can pave it, you can add covered parking, you can add any type of services that RV and boat owners want to have. There have been several times in my experience where I'll get one or two RV customers of mine that would like to use my spigot and my hose when they come back from traveling the country for a week. They want to wash out their RV, wash out their boat and everything. And I say yes. But if that's something you want to invest in, and I know that there is a seminar, I think tomorrow, that goes more in depth about RV and boat storage, that is definitely an avenue in which to go. Again, all you need is extra space, and a fence would be great. So there are common profit centers that I think every facility should employ if they have the space and an office to do so. The next profit centers I'll be talking about are what I call niche profit centers. These are ones that you do some market research on, that you listen to your customers, listen to the community, and have deemed it a worthy profit center to add into your facility. We have wine storage, record storage, cell tower leasing, business center services, propane sales, and moving services. So this is an interesting thing to see with wine storage. Wine storage has become a bigger, more profitable niche profit center in recent years because according to a USA Today article from 3 years ago in 2016, there has been an 18.5% increase in national direct-to-consumer wine sales. 80% of those direct-to-consumer wine sales year on year are the investment type wines, which are $30 and up bottles of wine. Why do people want to start investing in wine? Well, as the economy has gotten better over the last few years, more and more consumers in America have more wealth to figure out what to do with investments. And they have figured out that wine is a safe, easy investment rather than playing the stock market and rather than some of the other types of investments you can do. So many people are doing it, but they do not have a wine cellar. Many new homes today, the majority of new homes today, do not have a basement or an area in which they can, somebody can store their wine. So a lot of storage operators and owners have decided that wine storage in certain areas, in certain markets, is a great opportunity to get new clientele into their units. The picture up on the screen is from a company based in North Carolina that almost advertises that they solely do wine storage. So that is their advertising campaign, and that they only build in certain markets where wine has been a profitable thing. Record storage goes along with that because they both need to be climate controlled spaces. A lot of startups, small businesses, doctors' offices, medical offices, they don't have the space at their offices or even or in their homes if they're working from home to save all of the tax documents, client documents that they need to keep for several years. So they look to other places to store their records. In my experience, in my time, I've had several doctors' offices that rent climate-controlled units to where it's a 5x10 unit, a 10x10 unit, and times that I've seen them open up the doors, solely just bankers' boxes upon bankers' boxes. These are great clients to have as tenants because they'll always need a place to store their business records so long as they don't expand their office. Cell tower leasing is becoming a less popular profit add-on center, yet it is still a great revenue-generating profit center. Mr. Home, who has been a expert in cell tower leasing in this industry, has said that you only need 1,000 to 2,500 square feet of space on your property to put up a cell tower. The cell companies pay you for and get a lease with you for 25 to 30 years is the average lease for it. It is a low-maintenance, high-revenue profit center that also benefits your community, especially if you're in a rural setting. Everybody loves to be more connected to their phones today. So increasing cell phone coverage by letting a cell company put up a cell tower is perfect. So going along with record storage, a lot of people today are getting into entrepreneurship, small business management, local businesses, And in suburban and urban markets, you are seeing a lot of collaborative space being built. Collaborative space being there, a lot of times it's an old warehouse that is turned into just basically conference rooms. It's just a place where you can rent conference rooms by the hour. Well, this is a profit center that's becoming storage industry is kind of coming up on it. And if you have some climate-controlled units, you're looking to that are big, awkward size that you may think, hey, this could be something to offer. You can turn it into a conference room. If you have a conference room in your office, you can spruce it up a little bit and rent it out for any of the entrepreneurs or self-startups that need a place to hold their meetings, sign contracts, do conference calls. Throw in some free Wi-Fi, and you'll get all kinds of the millennial 20-somethings that are trying to start their own services to rent out your conference room. Propane sales is one of the biggest and near and dear to my heart profit centers. I managed a facility with propane sales for 2 years, and it was one of those big propane tanks, long 1,000-gallon tanks, and in the wintertime especially, I was in more of a rural area. A lot of people in rural areas tend to heat their homes with propane. And they're not just the little grill-sized propane tanks, but the big, tall, 100-pound size ones that are about 4 feet tall. The return that I got on just one of those tanks versus what my supplier was charging me for propane is about threefold. If you have an opportunity, if you have the space to put it in, there's all kinds of federal regulations and everything. But if you look into it and you decide that that's where something you want to do, if you have the space, invest in it and drive it and advertise it. It is a great profit center. Another way of doing propane is using the propane exchange cages. You see them at grocery stores, Walmarts, gas stations. These are great if you are near a tourist destination, a campground, or just in a suburban area where there's a lot of people, you know that there's a lot of people that grill. This is great. Clemson, South Carolina is right on a lake, and the facilities that I've managed in that area are, that's one of the most popular things that they do with propane is one has a propane exchange cage, and they are busy during the summertime since we're right on the lake and people want to camp out on the lake and grill and do everything like that. So that's another great profit center. Moving services is another great one if you have enough employees. If you want to, I've done this before at my first facility I managed. We offered me, because it was an independently owned company, I offered for an extra fee to load and unload somebody's car or truck for them. This is especially works well if you have an elderly clientele, if you have retired folks. I did it a lot for tenants that were retired and elderly women, that people that just don't have the capabilities of moving a big dresser from their van into their unit. If you have some able-bodied employees, you can offer this for a small extra fee. It's just another convenience for the customer. Some other niche profit centers to consider. There's many here that I could spend all day talking about different profit centers. So these are some others to consider. Would be tenant insurance and tenant protection plans. That's almost becoming an industry standard. And there are many folks here this week that specialize in that you can talk to if you want to get involved in that. Mailbox rentals, pack and ship services, and printing services are great if you're wanting to specialize in business centers, the conference rooms and such. And valet services are becoming a more popular add-on center, especially in the metro areas. There have been several case studies on several different publications over the last couple of years that are talking about the rise in valet services. If you have a profit center at your own facility that I haven't recognized, I haven't talked about, that is pretty unique, come up to me afterwards or come see me in Andros A and tell me. I would love to hear any other types of profit centers that are out there. So we've covered the what of profit centers. Now we're going to cover why have them. So why have profit centers at all? Well, first and foremost, it's so we can generate additional revenue. Every little counts. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to squeeze as much revenue as we can out of everything. So let's add some extra products and services so we can boost our revenue year on year so we can grow. But an equally important thing is it enhances your facility and makes it become a synergistic customer experience. That's what the theme of this expo is this year, is customer experience. We don't just want to benefit ourselves by adding these profit centers on. We want to benefit the customer with a better experience. In the 2019 global survey study done by PricewaterhouseCoopers, who does a global customer survey every year, they surveyed 90,000 customers across the world, and is the number one driving purpose for customers to go with one company or another is not price anymore. It is how effortless the experience is. We deal in transitions. We help people through many different transitions here in the storage industry, and if we can make their effort, their time, their stress a little bit less by offering a lock with a move-in, extra boxes, a truck for the rental, to a parking space for their boat, and so they don't have to go 10 miles down the road to store it. This creates less effort for the customer and benefits us. By diversifying your storage facility by doing different things, propane sales, storage rentals, wine storage, you can attract different customers than what you would have if you were just doing self-storage rentals. An example I have is a couple years ago when I was managing the facility that I spoke about that did propane. I had this regular propane customer. He'd come in about once every 2 weeks to fill up his grill tanks, and in the wintertime, he heated his home and his barn with the big 100-pound tank. So he would come in almost weekly during the wintertime. We got on a first-name basis. We did small talk, talked about college football, talked about the weather. And then one spring, in the springtime, he kind of just out of the blue started asking me what the prices of my storage units were and the sizes. Well, come to find out, he was telling me that his brother was moving into the area to help out with their ailing mother. And within the next week, his brother came in and rented a large 10 by 25 climate-controlled storage unit with me. And I would not have gotten that, probably not have gotten that rental if it weren't for selling propane and having that as a profit center and getting that client who only came to my property to do propane. I got his brother because he had a relationship with me and he knew what we were about. And ultimately, we just want to be more attractive to the customer. If we're more attractive to the customer, we can market ourselves above the competitors in our communities, and we can look a little bit more attractive than our competitors, so we can get that rental. All right, so briefly we've done the why. So now we're going to go to how. We're going to get some practical stuff. How to market, how to manage, how to deal with all these profit centers I've been blowing through. So if you don't have profit centers and you're looking to start them, or if you have profit centers and you're looking to get more out of them, these are 3 areas that I have used to determine which profit centers to use: desirability, feasibility, and viability. Desirability, does it fit within your layout? Would it look good and look attractive to the customer if you started using this doing this product or service. Feasibility, is it practical to offer this product? Not just are you able to, but is it practical? And what is the future viability? What is the future forecast of this product or service? You don't want to start adding a product or service that, after doing some research, that is something that consumers are not really wanting anymore. Another way of putting it is, do customers want this? Are you getting inquiries from your tenants saying, hey, you should be doing this? Should we do this? And can we do this? All three of these, after doing the research and getting the data that Brian Carter spoke about this morning in the keynote address, if they all say yes, let's do this, that is the sweet spot, and that is when you should employ and implement that profit center. So as business people, we always want to know our return on investment on anything, any new venture we want to do. I've put up the basic return on investment calculation up there for the people that like to do those calculations. But it's much more than just a calculation of the things that we implement and how much money we put into starting this new product or service. But it's about the overall customer experience. In that global customer survey I mentioned about from PricewaterhouseCoopers, they introduced a new concept and a new way of thinking about ROI. Instead of ROI, it's ROX, return on experience. Customers want a unique, positive experience every time they interact with your facility. So that is something we need to start looking at and calculating rather than return on investment. Because a lot of times there might be a huge initial startup fee, but the return and the word-of-mouth marketing and the attractiveness of your facility and company may be astounding, and it won't show up if you just calculate the ROI. So if you have profit centers already, or if you're looking to start them, you're probably going to come away from the expo in a few days, go back to your companies, go back to your offices, go back to your employees, and the little hamster in your head is already turning, and you're going to say, okay, let's do these 10 new products and services so we can get everybody we can. Or you may be thinking you already have these profit centers and you're thinking you're doing too many. Well, this is what I call profit center overload. If you're feeling like you're overwhelmed with profit centers and the extra products and services you are doing, I have some questions for you to think through. First of all, is it in line with the mission and vision of the facility? In other words, is your vision for your facility, is your vision submitting to what you're doing, or is what you're doing submitting to the vision? Which profit centers are generating revenue? Again, we want to generate extra revenue. That's why we're here. That's why we're in business. And we are also wanting to have a great customer experience. But if a profit center is consistently operating in the red and not the black, you may have to think about cutting that one loose or revitalizing it, repackaging it somehow. Do you have enough employees? This is a big one. This morning I was actually talking with somebody who has managed other facilities, and they were talking about an owner that they were dealing with that wanted to do about 8 or 10 different profit centers. But they only had the one manager, and they wanted them to do truck rentals, merchandise, all kinds of different things. And the kind of the what I call the V8 no-brainer head knock is that one person is not going to be able to do all of that to the best of her abilities. You have to have enough employees and have them trained to know how to do each of those profit centers. And then finally, and I think this is the most important one, is the main function of the facility suffering? Again, we're here mainly because we are doing storage rentals. If you are focusing more on your truck rentals or more on your merchandise sales or facilitating to all of the RV and boat tenants instead of your normal tenants, if the day-to-day maintenance and operations of the facility is suffering because you're paying more attention to your other products and services, you may have to rethink what you're doing. All right, so gone through a lot of stuff. Here's some more practical things about how to manage and market your profit centers. I don't try and do 1,000 things 6 times. I like to do 6 things 1,000 times. This is a quote by Dr. Ivan Meisner, who is the president and founder of Business Networking International, one of the largest business referral organizations in the world. What he's getting the point he's getting across here is you don't want to be mediocre in many things. You want to be excellent in a few things. So you want to find like your niche. What are the few profit centers that A, you know your customers and tenants want and desire, and B, what can we do well? That is what you're looking for. Like I just mentioned, every employee should know each profit center. And this doesn't just mean the day-to-day employees at the facility, the managers and assistant managers, the relief managers. I'm talking about any district managers, regional managers, the owner himself, maybe even if it's a small and medium-sized company, because you never know if you're doing a site visit or if you're having a change in management at the facility and you need to step in and rent a truck or fill a propane tank or direct what parking space is the right size for a certain size camper. So you want to have every employee know the basics of every product and service you are offering at your facility. And then learn from other operators and companies who use similar profit centers. So when I first started doing propane at that one facility I was managing, I went to a hardware store about 5 miles down the road who did propane as well, and I got some good tips and tricks from them about not only how to price my propane, but how to fill it, how to just manage the day-to-day operations of filling propane. You want to ask the people who know how to do these products and services well. If you want to add in business services, maybe go to one of those collaborative spaces, those rent a conference center by the hour and see how they do their operations and kind of learn from them a little bit. Profit centers can be used to reach different consumer demographics. So take the business center idea for a minute. You can go to young professional meetings, go to chamber events, do things that are and target a specific business audience that you're wanting to look at to have them as tenants and customers of that business center. If you're wanting to do propane sales, go find your nearest KOA or state park and put up some flyers and talk with people there who, yes?
How much did it cost, ballpark, how much did it cost whenever you set up your propane to establish it? Are we looking at 10 grand or are we looking at 30?
It depends on if you're wanting to do the tank exchange or you're doing the fill. The propane tank I had was already installed there 10 years prior, so I'm not necessarily sure. It depends on the supplier because you have to go through whether it is AmeriGas or a local supplier. if I would have to say, it's in that 10 grand range, because there is things they have to set in the ground and kind of do some studies to figure out where the best place on your property that would fit at. Because there are some big federal regulations about how far it can be away from your office and from other buildings, and how close a car could come up to it and things like that. Good question. So target different demographics, different customers with your products and services that you're going to employ. And then use them to market yourselves over your local competitors. So you don't want to do what Bud Light and Coors Light are doing right now with their commercials that they're going back and forth, but you can say we're the only self-storage facility in the area that offers conference room rentals by the hour, so you can boost yourselves up by marketing these these products and services to over your local competitors. You want to create that one-stop shop kind of attitude, that mindset for your customers, for the community, for your target audience. You want somebody to come in and rent a storage unit, buy a lock from you, buy some boxes, store their boat that they have as well because they're moving into a new development with a very restrictive HOA. They can do everything right there. They don't have to go to 5 different places to get what they need. They can come to you. That's what you're looking for. And then you can do cross promotions as well. You can do free truck rental with a move-in. You can say 10% off your lock with a move-in. You can say, okay, if you store your camper here, every 5th fill up with of propane, you can get the next one at half off. You can do a lot of cross promotions and cross selling. So to begin to wrap it up a little bit, I'm going to go over some review. A profit center is any product or service for rent or sale that you use that generates revenue for your facility and benefits the customer in some way. These products and services, these profit centers are essential to creating that synergistic one-stop shop customer experience at your facility. Find your niche. Again, you don't want to do many things mediocre. You want to do a few things excellent. Find those few that work for you, work for your managers and for your employees, and work for your customers. Again, you don't have to do 10. You can do 2 if that's all that you can do. If you, after doing a feasibility study, going through the viability of it, if you can only do 2 or 3, then do 2 or 3 and be the best one at those 1 or 2. And then advertise using all forms of marketing, social media, word of mouth, target your businesses, B2B marketing, do all types of marketing to get the word out about these products and services. And don't be afraid and don't get scared if after a month or 2 it doesn't get started, much like getting a new facility on board and redesigning it. If you've bought a new facility, it's going to take some time for the community to know that you're doing this new product or service. So let it happen. Each profit center has its own cycle. Let it go through its own cycle, promote it, and get it out there and see what happens with it. All right, we have a few minutes here, so I'll take any questions that anybody has right now. In 2017, the gross profit I made off of all propane sales was about $20,000. Yes, sir. The question is about what a valet service is. Valet services are that you will go with your own truck, pick up their stuff, take it and put it into the unit, and then when they move it, go to a new house or a new apartment, you bring it to them as well. It's becoming a very popular thing in college town markets, where you can have a student moving out of a dorm. So you go in, get their stuff already packed, put it in your truck, take it to your facility, store it, and then when they schedule a time for you to deliver it to them later on.
So it's a warehouse rather than a storage unit?
Some people do just basic warehouses. What I have seen is a combination. You could definitely do it with your regular storage units. Yes. You'd have to look at the question is how do you price the valet services? I would look at what other people are doing that are in markets such as yourself. So look at similar markets and see what they're looking at and what are they charging. Some valet service facilities and programs will sell rent by the box. A lot of the college town ones do rent by the box or have a comprehensive package where it comes with 15 boxes and X amount of tape and other retail merchandise items that they'll for $250, and then they use a market standard monthly price for the storage rental as well. Yeah, so you'll definitely have to look in. You'll have to have an extra contract, an extra agreement set in place that covers your employees' liabilities and things. The facilities that I have personally seen do those things, and that when I've done it, I got one of our local movers to basically redo his own agreement for myself, and I had the tenants I was using sign that agreement as well, so that that everything is covered. And if you want to do that on a permanent basis, you would have to go to your own insurance company and make sure that is covered under your umbrella. I have not. That is one of the other type of profit centers that is getting traction right now, but it's not, the studies aren't out there to show what the viability of that is for an existing storage facility. Now, pods and the pod company and everything, they're very profitable, but it's, if you're wanting to add that to being a storage facility as well, the jury's still out on that one. The data's not there quite yet to see if that is a sustainable profit center for an existing facility. Yes. The question is, if you were doing mainly RV and boat storage, could you look into portable storage? Yes. You do have to have space for that, for all the pod-like mobile storage. But yeah, if you're mainly doing RV and boat storage and you don't want to put permanent concrete slabs down and permanent buildings up, that is a definite one to kind of look into. From my understanding from Mark Home, it is you have to contact your a self company's area representative or a district manager for that area. So if you're wanted to go through AT&T, get a hold of. You could walk into your local AT&T store and they could give you the card of their district manager, and you have to kind of go through that kind of juncture, and they'll get you in touch with everything. The downside of cell tower leasing is that it is a lengthy process to get it set up, but it is profitable year on year and out because you are signing a 25 to 30-year lease with them, so you can count on that revenue coming in for a couple decades. Any other questions? If you guys want to speak with me further, again, I'll be in Andros A, just right down there for the next 30 minutes. Come and see me. We can talk about anything. Thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of the conference.